Hello there, welcome to episode 67 of Never Mind the Bullens. It's your bite-sized Everton podcast and new look vodcast. I'm Mike Peters, discussing all things Everton. Quite a bit's happened since episode 66, so let's try and deal with it in some semblance of order. Firstly, the QPR game in the Carabao Cup last Tuesday, which happened... I'd forgotten when I recorded episode 66 last Monday, I'd forgotten it was even happening. So there you go. That's how highly this Carabao Cup seems to rate in our priorities these days. Again, I mean, another League Cup exit at an early stage that, you know, we can add to a litany of those. I mean, we must be on about volume 3 of those by now, you know, put down alongside Bristol Rovers, Millwall, you name them. There's been dozens of them down the years, and obviously, as we well know, still a competition that we've not won. On the face of it, you know, disappointing. All right, we've drawn, but looking at the team that we had out, that should have been enough to win. QPR, by all accounts, played pretty well. Obviously, in penalty shootout, well, it's a lottery, isn't it? And we've ended up coming out on the wrong side of that, on the losers of that lottery. You have to put it down to be pragmatic about it and say, well, actually, given the injuries that we've got and the inability really to rotate the squad very much, actually having a couple fewer games between now and Christmas with the squad that we have, actually, is that a bad thing? And we just have to just accept that and just suck it up. And as much as it might annoy us, and you're just thinking, goodness me, can we ever get a run together in this competition? Obviously, we got to the quarterfinals last season. But, you know, we just have to think, right, let's just be sensible and realistic and just recognise where we're at. And if you'd said, right, well, you know, we'll lose on Tuesday night or be knocked out on Tuesday night, we didn't actually lose the game, but win against Norwich and put ourselves back in contention for the top 4. You know, we're right on the cusp of that, of course. And all the results that happened this weekend with Liverpool drawing, United losing, Chelsea, of course, losing to City. And you actually have to say, do you know what? That's actually not the worst thing in the world, all things considered. So, that's it. It's disappointing, obviously, always to get knocked out of a cup competition. We don't want that to happen, but actually, where we are at the minute, you know, it might prove to be a bit of a blessing in disguise. Then moving on to the James Rodriguez situation, which of course has finally reached its conclusion with him disappearing off to somewhere in the Middle East, Al Rayyan. Now, the rumour and counter rumours suggest that we got 8 million for him. That's one I heard on the Gladys Street on Saturday. Not sure about that, but if we have, woof, happy days. Secondly, that we're paying some of his wages, but whatever, you know, he's a player obviously that Rafa didn't want. He clearly wasn't interested. There's been a lot written about him. There's a good piece in The Guardian actually by Jonathan Liu, who's an extremely good writer, award-winning, which is worth checking out if you can, which sort of sums up where it has that actually he was something that we had to do, but actually it's one of those that ultimately didn't work out. I think the great regret is that we never got to see him at Goodison. I always wonder whether that could have changed things, but we'll never know. Ultimately, from a business point of view, he had to get off the books. We couldn't have a player that was only available for 50% of the matches, picking up £1 million a month, and you looked at that on the balance sheet and say, right, you just saved yourself £12 million a year plus bonuses. That's an absolutely whopping amount to be saving, and will help us enormously with FFP. And if he didn't fit into the way we want to play, and I think it's quite obvious the way that we're playing at the minute, which he didn't, let's be honest, as good as a player that he might be on his day, then ultimately he hasn't got a place in the squad. I'm disappointed. Obviously, I'm, you know, a romantic with these things, and I want to see the best players playing for Everton. I want to see them at Goodison Park. I wanted us to be able to give them that full roar. But, you know, we'll always have Old Trafford, even if it was a 4-0 defeat. We shall speak of Old Trafford again in a moment, after we've discussed, of course, the Norwich game on Saturday. Not that there's that much to discuss, really, because it was a fairly routine win, although they are a rare thing for Everton in the recent past. So we're very comfortable. I mean, I must make mention of Norwich's kit, because if you saw the highlights, if you weren't there and you looked at it on Match of the Day, that was tame. They must have turned the contrast down to 0 to get the kit that dark, because I swear it was absolutely ridiculous how bright that kit was. It was hideous, and why they felt the need to wear it, I've no idea. I'm absolutely a purist when it comes to, if you can wear your home kit or a semblance on it, you know, if you have to wear chain shorts or something like that, you wear it. I don't give a monkeys about these, kit deals, obviously, with 3 kits every season, but it's a license to print money, isn't it? So this is what happens. You have these ludicrous situations, like also a couple of years ago, which came up on my notifications the other day, where, we wore our away kit at Arsenal. And it was a black kit with pink, pipe in that one, yeah. But anyway, on to the game itself. Yerry Mina, I thought, was excellent. Luca Dean, lucky to stay on the pitch, if I'm honest. I didn't see the second one. Obviously, I was at the other end of the ground. The handball situation, where his hands, he was very lucky not to get a second yellow card for that. But Ben Godfrey, I still don't think he's fully fit, because one of the Norwich players, the name of whom has completely escaped me, absolutely blew past him in the second half, and I'm thinking that's not the Ben Godfrey that we've been watching for the last 12 months. So he clearly isn't quite 100%. Yeah, there was a few misplaced passes, all the rest of it, and obviously I think it's fairly obvious that he's had COVID at some point in the recent past. Allen just ran the show in midfield. A very easy game for him, really, because Norwich just were very passive. They didn't try to impose themselves on us or impose themselves on the game. It was a very peculiar performance, and just you fear for them playing like that. They're just not. I don't think they've won a game yet, and playing like that, they're not going to. I think there are 2 shots on target, both of which were from distance from Matthias Norman, forced Jordan Pickford into a couple of good saves, but he. Other than that, he wasn't really troubled. Again, Damari Gray, I thought Andros Townsend was excellent. Gray looked sharp again. Abdoulaye Doucouré is sort of starting to play in that kind of Tim Cahill kind of mould, where he's a really attacking midfielder, almost like of a false number 10, if I can invoke a new footballing phrase, because he does play in that position. He's not playing as a number 10, but he sort of is starting to play as one. And, we were comfortable. As I said, Yerry Mina, I thought, was excellent. Michael Keane had not a great afternoon, but he was all right, and it was solid, and we were never really in any danger other than that one header that they had, which I think was it Grant Hanley that completely missed that was Ben Gibson that completely missed the header that should have buried it, and that was the big concern, because he was completely unmarked 6 yards from goal. But other than that, 3 points, another clean sheet, rebounding after the Villa defeat, and on we go to Old Trafford next week. Now, the Old Trafford game, I think we're on an absolute hiding to nothing, irrespective of the fact that they've lost to Villa. I think that we are, without Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, who aren't going to be back until probably after the international break, we've got a problem there, because Solomon Rondon clearly is not fully fit. You could see that on Saturday. He's getting there, and he won a lot of stuff in the air. His hold-up play was good, but he tired very badly. Now, another week's worth of training obviously will be hugely beneficial and, will help him. But I just wonder whether we're going to have enough attacking threat to be able to take them on. That said, with the pace that we have in the team, there absolutely is the option that we can just sit in and play Manchester United on the break. Take Alex Iwobi out of that 11 and have Tom Davies in there. And again, Iwobi was very poor on Saturday. He just didn't beat a man. You just know that the players in front of him have no confidence in his ability to deliver a ball, so they're never in the right position when the ball comes in. The ball, one in the first half where Damari Gray is scorching through the middle, and he has the ball on the left-hand side, he's clean through, and he has to play just to quickly whip the ball around the full back, which would have been easy and he played a lazy pass, which ends up having to bring Damari Gray 15 yards away off his line to where he's supposed to be going, and we end up losing the chance. But I think anything we get out of Manchester United is a bonus next week, without any doubt at all. But nonetheless, even if, again, take each game as it comes, 4 wins, 1 draw, and a couple of defeats out of the first 7 matches, particularly under the circumstances of having been shorn of our best attacking players, is actually not that bad a result. But hope springs eternal as an Evertonian, doesn't it? But so does a drop of realism. That's we have our elixir, and then we just temper it a little bit, don't we? If you want to get in touch with this podcast, you can do at NMTB Pod, which you can see on the screen behind me if you're watching on the vodcast, or obviously I've got to tell you if you're just listening to the podcast. NMTBpod@gmail.com on the email, or you can leave me a voice message as well in the description of the podcast. This has been a Top Content production, and until next time, come on, you Blues.